have an extra treat today on the Black Women in Radio podcast, representing our leading men. I've got a great panel to talk about some crazy things that are happening, of course, in the radio industry and beyond. But we've got media company owners, we've got corporate execs, and we have radio personalities. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey!
Party Mike Love, Art Terrell.
What's
What?
up, baby?
Yes.
Mwah,
Hey.
mwah, mwah.
Oh, thank you guys so much for coming on board. I wanted to try something new. Of course, Black Women in Radio podcast. We talk to the ladies all the time, but I thought, you know what, with all of the information that we share back and forth, I really would like to know our Black men in radio's perspective. So that's why you are on, and you are also on because you are popular in your own right, and you've done so much for the industry itself. So I wanted an opportunity, not only that, to network with Black men who are in radio, because I don't know if you guys have an outlet that we have, but we're able to do a lot of networking here these days virtually, among our peers. So we wanted to pull you in. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I'm expecting Mitch Faulkner, so whenever he hops on, we'll welcome him. But I want to know, I'm going to just jump right in, and then I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. But what is your superpower when it comes to coping with the constant changes in radio?
Well, I'll start. For me, we live in an age of social media. So my personal superpower is that I'm always looking for the new trends. I'm always looking for what's changing. And it gets on my team's nerves sometimes that I always go the extra mile to find information, to find out if it's really factual or not. So my superpower is getting down to the truth of the matter when it comes down to.
All right, CNN.
Yeah. You call me CNN. You think you know everything, don't you? I'm like, well. Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot, though. I like that a lot because we're used to ripping and reading, right? Back in the day,
Right.
And we just take whatever at face value. But when you dig a little deeper, then you can really connect with the audience. Because now you can form an opinion.
You put that together.
Now you can take that to your team. Who else? What's your superpower?
I would agree. I mean, I'm the same way. When I wake up in the morning, I have at least 300 emails, especially if I haven't answered any emails the night before. And it's coming from everything, inside radio, this blog, that blog. And like, Rick and I showed you earlier, we play with these toys all the time. And it's a small group of us. All of us got the Rodecaster. All of us got the RE20s. All of us that's what we do. And we don't even talk about it. It's like we pop up and he got it. Like, shit,
Yeah.
Rick got it. I got it. Then somebody else will pop up with it. But it's that whole, like he said, the superpower connection that we've all learned because we've all worked in mornings. We've all done afternoons. We've all programmed. It's like we've all done the same stuff over and over again. So it's almost like we're this family that just doesn't live together. We're like, just in the same mindset about everything we do. If something happens, it skirts across the country. We're calling each other. Hey, man, you saw what Rick and Sasha did. Hey, man, you said, hey, let Al Terrell go. Hey, man, Mike Love, he ain't over at HUR no more. Stuff just be going 50,000 miles an hour. And we really don't care because it's the same cycle. The people who really get upset about this are people who haven't lived a cycle like the three of us have, because we have all crossed each other's path and seen each other do everything. It doesn't matter. Art, what do you think?
I would say, just like you and Rick said, it's content.
Mm-hmm.
Checking it once, checking it twice, checking it 5 times, and making sure that you have the appropriate content for your audience.
Right.
I think that's, where the success of our show, my former show, where that show came from. And, it was all about that woman that was 25, 54. We made sure we had the right stories for her. And, sometimes it took a lot of extra work to make sure that the right stories made it to air but it was well worth it.
Absolutely.
Well, I love the diplomatic answer. Thank you guys, but I want to dig in a little deeper. Tell me your superpower personally when shit goes wrong, and it does a lot in radio.
When you say wrong, what do you mean? Like,
well,
like you lose a job if music stops? What like?
Well, when life doesn't happen according to your plan, and radio has a whole nother agenda. What's your superpower? How do you cope? Because just like Mike said, it's a cycle.
Okay.
I know I have many times said, that's it. I'm not in radio anymore. I give it up.
Okay.
And then you boomerang right back in. So what is your superpower?
So back to look at what we have behind us, right? Well, you can't see for me, but Mike has that Rodecaster. He's got a microphone there. He's got headphones. Al's got music back there. So we know that there's so much more than radio. Again, you have to stay on top of the trends. You look at radio compared to podcasting, right? You have to stay on top of everything. If radio goes bad, guess what? Get yourself a podcast. See what a whole bunch of radio personalities are doing on social media. You got Star, formerly of Star and BWIR. He's got a page. There's so many people that are up there. They have other alternatives. They've got this digital platform now, and they still have the capability to take phone calls. They still have the capability to stay on top of the gossip or the news or whatever. What you don't do is you don't stop. You don't stop. Because once you stop, that's when it's over. It's not the fact that you're off the radio station. That's their platform. But this thing right here, this is still radio. This is still, people can still hear you the same way they heard you on Art, for example. Art was on KISS 104, but guess what? Art has a new app now, or Art is on YouTube, or Art is on Facebook Live. Yep. That's the superpower for me, and I'm sure these guys too, is staying on top of the trends and not stopping just because they took this mic away from you. Yes. We got a mic in our homes right now.
Oh, it happens.
We all have mics in our homes right now.
That's right.
There it is.
It is.
Staying on top of the trends is my superpower, and I can definitely say the same for these guys because I see it in their backgrounds.
Yeah, and not stopping, like you said. Who else wants to jump in? A little personal note.
Just keep moving. Just because life throws you a curveball doesn't mean you stop moving. Of course, I can't be on the air right now in this market, but I've hosted several events. I've been contacted by many charity organizations. So my name is still out there. And as Rick said, Facebook Live, Instagram, when you can get those messages out to your fans, they respond to them still, and they're looking for you. So, just keep moving. Keep the camera moving because I'm kind of fast. That's what Deion Sanders used to say, and that's the life we live.
Yeah.
I love it. How about you, Mike? You've had many capacities.
A lot of capacities, and the game keeps changing. Rick and I was talking. We were at the Worldwide Radio Summit, and I pulled him to the side and said, "Hey, man, I got to talk to you about something." And Rick cleared the space. Everybody was looking like, "Ooh, what is Rick and Mike Love talking about?" I said, "Look, man, you got." Oh yeah, dude. He chased his wife away. I was like,
I know, right?
No, not the wife. That's right. But we talked quickly about the ESPN thing, how you're still going to do that, but now you got to walk into this Tom Joyner's leaving morning show space, and you got to give it all your all, just like you did when you went to ESPN, just like when you left Chicago, just like when you was in Atlanta. It never stops. But that's what we have to do for each other. We have to encourage each other because he's sitting on a panel, everybody shooting questions to him. Hey, what is it going to be like? What's it going to be doing this? Hey, man, congratulations, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Rick, get rid of all of that noise. And remember, you got to go in there and knock this dude out. The new dude.
That's what you're
The new morning show.
Yeah.
I told him.
Yeah.
We sat there, and that's what we do for each other. He would do the same thing for me. And we would do it for art. Yeah. We don't forget about art. We don't forget about any of the people that's in it. We got to all encourage each other. Mm-hmm. Hurricane, if he going through something, everybody goes through something in the business that we're all like this. Even though we may not talk every day, we know about our families. We know everything about each other, but it's some kind of connection from when we hung out at all the conventions, the impacts and all the stuff that we did that it's in our soul. We don't have to be around each other. Know what Rick doing. Rick know what Mike Love doing. Art knows what Mike Love's doing. Rick knows what Art's doing. It's like it's like a Western Union telegram that's just going around us that we don't even have control over.
Yeah.
Right. I love that. I love that. So I'm hearing that you guys support each other behind the scenes. So that is a superpower, because I know that when things happen to you individually, you feel like you're alone. And when you feel like you're alone, you can slip into a slump and maybe give up. A lot of people have in the industry. That's why I asked you, what is your superpower? Because I've seen these faces over and over again, time and time again. No matter what happens, you pop up. So there's got to be something that you're doing that the average person isn't. So thank you for that. Thank you for that.
And if I may add,
I'm gonna tell you something. This is the God's truth. This bad boy, I saw Rick when he first put their windscreen. I said, no, he didn't. He went and he got it all close. I said, I went and got me one. I did. I can't lie. I did. As soon as I saw Rick, I was like, no, Rick can't get to.
Well, I'm gonna come up. I'm gonna come up because you guys can't be the only ones with the toys. Doggone it! The heck.
No, and
look how he be right in front. Rick be right in front of him. He be like, Smarty 20 right now. Right. I said, I called
the hate these microphones too.
The next day it got me one.
Yeah. and that's a part of it. That's part of the superpower. Stand on top of it, getting the latest equipment. I mean, listen, it's just a microphone. You can get it anywhere. I mean, I've had this. What was it? The Shure was the other microphone. I didn't like it. I got this one, and it sounded right, because we know, if we look the part, people will pay attention to what we are doing. Mm-hmm. That's it. And if more than anything, when people see that you don't give up on yourself, that's inspiration to them. They're like,
right?
Preach.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
That's it.
But they don't know behind the scenes. They're like, oh God, I need some more jobs. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I know that Art and I used to work together. We did the morning show together.
No, hold on. Let me tell the story, okay? Okay. So it really wasn't work. It was in the middle of a field.
Under the cows. With cows.
It was in the middle of the dirt, and you had to pass the cows to get to the trailer in the middle of the field under the tower. What do you do at 4 o'clock in the morning when there's a cow blocking the roadway and he will not move? You just have to sit there and wait it out.
Right.
And then you get into the studio and play hip hop and be the boss for another 4 hours.
What'd you all work?
That was Hot 97.5.
Yeah, when they first came on air.
Okay.
Yeah, when they first jumped off in the Atlanta market.
Okay, I didn't know that you all worked there, though.
It was a morning party with Art, Terrell, and Felesha Love. The morning party.
Wow, I remember that.
Yeah. I was trying to where do I remember her name from? That's where I remember your name.
That's it.
Yes.
That is hilarious. Well, let me ask you guys this. What will it take for us as a Black community to start making $120 million for a contract like Howard Stern?
I think that's Mike's area right there.
Jump on that one, Mike.
The thing of it is what we're doing now, being self-sufficient.
Yeah.
When I stepped out on faith, a lot of people, just like I came to you, Rick, people came to me and said, hey, man, you sure this is what you want to do? And I said, hey, I got to step out. You see that blue tag media right there in the background? I got to stick with that. That's what's going to bring it. When you got your companies and you self-invest, because once again, like Rick said, we look at the news every day and we see that all these companies, not going to name them individually, are going bankrupt. Wall Street said they're no longer going to lend them any money. We're on our own. And so in order to get to that status, we may not get Spotify to kick us 125 or, whatever Stern says he's getting ready to get. You have to get it for yourself, because there's going to be a time and a place, especially with this pandemic virus that just hit, that you'll be working from home and you can have several jobs. Like right now, I started this thing called Mobile PD Service, and it's got a website. It's mobilepdservice.com. And so I picked up 5 affiliates where all I do is their logs, and I do it from home. I go in, I make the log adjustments. They send me the database. I send the database back to the radio station. They print their logs out and do everything. The same thing that Rick was already doing the voiceover work. You know, the same thing that everybody else does in this business to supplement. The supplement now is getting ready to be the cash cow. Mm. That's where it is.
Sure, for sure. So don't wait on that $120 million check, huh?
Don't wait on
self-sufficient.
Don't
you gotta go get that.
Wait on the 9 to 5 job. You got to go get that money.
Yeah.
I think about Byron Allen when he first started his comedy show, you know, in the middle of the night. And he said, listen, you guys give me the show, I'll go and get the clients. Yeah. So he got the clients. And that's the work that people don't want to do. You have to be willing to go the extra mile. People have said that, and it's an old cliche, but it's the absolute truth. I remember, you know, one of the moments when we started this morning show. To make money, it's not the salary that you get, it's the ads that are playing on the radio. So we had to go do a whole lot of upfronts in New York and LA, and we had to go meet the advertisers, go meet them and tell them why they should buy the show. So you don't have to be a syndicated show to do this. You could be, you know, someone who's on a digital platform. Again, you can be on a YouTube or a Facebook or even your own app. But if you go in there with a plan and say, hey, this is why you should buy into this. I have X amount of followers because this is where we are now. It really doesn't matter what platform you're on. People want to know how many eyeballs are watching you. And eyeballs how many ears are hearing, how many eyeballs are watching. It doesn't matter if those eyeballs come from radio or those eyeballs come from the internet, because guess what? They're all people. And if a person has 1 million followers on their social media, you go do an upfront to, you know, a big company, let's say Procter & Gamble, for example, and they have a whole bunch of products. You say, listen, I've got this app. I'm a broadcaster. I do my shows on IG or whatever it is. And 1 million people will buy your product if I tell them to. And they're going to be like, you know what? I'm putting some money behind it. And that's how you get, that's one of the quickest ways to get the Howard Stern dollar. And then when they see that everybody wants you, they want in. That's what happens all the time. When we see that something is popular, everybody wants in.
Right.
That's it. This is why Joe Rogan, you look at Joe Rogan and you look at, what's the guy's name? Joe Budden, right? Joe Rogan has $100 million Spotify deal. And Joe Budden was upset because he doesn't.
That's right. Yeah.
But the thing about it is that I love, see, Tom Joyner is the only person who could do what he did. And when I say that, he's not the only one, but he did it smart and he did it first. He catered to his base. And that's all he wanted to do, because for Tom, it's like, I've got enough. Now, if I wanted a bigger and broader audience, I would do that. But this is what I want. Joe knew what his base was, and he went after that. He had a great machine behind him. Like for example, if someone goes syndicated, you go to Mike. Mike's the machine. He tells you what to do. Listen, this is what you do. But if you don't listen and you go by, you know, what your friends are telling you, you're not gonna get very far, you know, with that. But so I say again, you know, when you got your own platform, you know, go the extra mile, go do those upfronts, make those trips to New York, see if you can talk to the secretary and get a meeting with the sales team, the ad team, and let them know who you are. And that way you get that Joe Rogan dollar, you get that Howard Stern dollar, for starters.
Well, that's why this conversation is so important, because people see how easy it is when you're in front of the mic, guys. It's easy, right? That they don't know that there's a machine behind you and there's a mindset within you in order to get that extra, you know, elevation in your career. So anybody else have any thoughts before I go on with that? No,
I think Rick nailed it, to be honest with you. And like I said, I'm making a lot of fun to him, but this look that you see with him with the RE20 and the headphone, he manufactured that. And I saw it. I was like, look at this nizzle right here. He done manufactured this look, and he's playing it all the way to the hill. And that's how because he's all the way, he's selling himself and you don't know it. He's flashing you. He's
now
doing just like this,
right now,
and you don't even know it. Right now,
moving background right there.
love it.
I love
and then
it.
I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. I went and got to mine. I got to go get that RE20. Wait a minute, I ain't even broadcasted.
But you know what? It's funny, those little things, when people see those little things that remind them of a radio station, that's what draws them in. Oh, he's got a mic. He's serious.
Mm-hmm.
He's serious, rather than someone getting on with their little.
Serious.
Yeah, they're like, oh, they're not serious. That's why you see everybody now, they've either got this microphone, they either have this one, or they have that Shure microphone. That Mike and Art, y'all know we had that Shure microphone, that SM, was it SM57 or SM7B?
The 7.
Right, that 7 or whatever that one is. The Breakfast Club broke out with that. Now everybody has to have that mic. But I got to be honest with you. See, we use that I use it back in the 80s when I was working in Charleston, South Carolina. But when I see people with that microphone or any professional microphone, it says to me that they're serious about what they're doing. That's the first thing right there. How serious are you?
Right.
We got to see it first.
Yeah.
We got to see it first.
People do wait. They wait to see the proof is in the pudding. Show me the product.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want you guys to tell us about your career, but tell us what your career taught you. Introduce yourself first, and then tell us what your career taught you.
We're going to go with the OG first. We're going to go with Mike, man.
Yeah, Mike.
I am the president, CEO, and consultant for Blue Tag Media. And radio made me hungry for information. And so the entire time that I've always, tried to better myself and work my way up the ladder in the career, I was always hungry for information. And so a lot of times I would, just hang out, and not at the parties and doing a lot of different things. I was always trying to see what is it going to take to get to the next level, and I'm a gadget nut. And so I love gadgets and playing with gadgets and this kind of stuff. And it really helped me just get involved into what I was doing because I needed to understand it. And I took a cold left turn. A guy by the name of Michael Baisden came along, and I was in Columbia, South Carolina. And he told the folks at the ABC Radio Network where I was a guy that he wanted to work with. And I don't know why. I mean, I was just, doing what I normally do as a PD. He said, and I asked him one day, and he said, man, your hustle is crazy. He said, I like that. He said, a lot of people are, hustling just to be on the air and want to be seen. He said, but you do more behind the scenes that I've ever seen anybody do who's in front of the microphone. And that's because I'm always trying to learn something. And I got to the network, and within 6 months of being there, I was promoted to senior director of programming and distribution for the urban department. And I lasted there for 5 years. Wow. And grew several other platforms that were there, and just really noticed that the analytics of the business, looking at the numbers, the research, and really understand why somebody listens and wants to take, take advantage of listening to a syndicated radio show or even just a local radio show. What's the difference between the two? What are they looking for from the personalities that are out there? Why is this personality big and this one's not? It's kind of crazy. I mean, Charlemagne's second radio station in his career was with me at the Big DM in Columbia, South Carolina. I put him on the Big DM, didn't work out that well. We moved him over to our sister station, Hot 103.9. We had Wendy on there, Wendy Williams, who was being syndicated. It was a younger audience. It wasn't working as well, but they meet and the rest is history. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I mean, it never fails at how these plans come together. I'm working in New York. I'm at BLS. I'm at KISS FM. Frankie Crocker hires me from KISS FM to come over to BLS. We take BLS to number 5. They decide they want to go hip hop and let me go. But Jerry Clifton gets me on WPGC at the same time that Donnie Simpson's coming over, and we take the station to number 1, and they've never looked back since. It just keeps happening. So all of it was because right place, right time, but always seeking that information. What's going to be next? How am I going to make it work? And so, I just try to inspire people. I don't care anything about being in front of a microphone, being on the air, working at a radio station directly. And when I said that earlier, when you were talking about making that $125 million money, you know, what we have to do as radio personalities is teach the consolidated radio industry that we're still just as important. If not, then they are, because the audience wants to see the Rick Partys and the Art Terrells of the world. They're not interested. They don't know one company name from another. The audience doesn't know that. They all they want to do is connect. Who is that guy? Is he connecting with me? Who is that young lady? Is she connecting with me? And that's what I'm really trying to push. Get personality back out there. That's what will grow, and that's what will make you money.
I love that. Love that answer. All right, who's next?
I'll hop in. Radio has taught me that it's not about us. It's truly about the people. When I was young, you know, doing nights at GCI and worked afternoons at V103, I really thought it was about me, right? I thought it was about me. It was not about anyone else. And then I had some humbling experiences in my life. And then, you know, during my absence from radio, that's when I got into voiceover, and I had to actually, you know, find myself. And I said I would never come back to radio unless I had the opportunity to change lives, because I learned then when you go off into anonymity or to the abyss, no one is really looking for you. No one's really checking for you, right? So you realize right there that you're not so important. But, you know, so many events happened in my life. You know, for one, you know, my daughter was born, you know, during my 9-year absence from radio. She's 11 now. And that taught me as well that, again, it is not about me. So if I said the first moment I have the opportunity to get back in radio, I'm going to use this as a vessel to help people. So when I got back on, I, you know, did something I did many years ago when I worked in Atlanta at V103. I did something called Hump Day Help Out, when I would have people call in and auction off things, or if they had a job to offer someone, or they wanted to get rid of some furniture, any type of thing. I took that to Miami, and it really blew up. And that's what my show was all about. It was about helping people out, becoming a vessel, you know, using my platform as a vessel to help so many people. And radio taught it radio for me, being so young in the business, it was also my university. Radio is where I got my PhD in life. You know, life doesn't teach you, you know, in school you're taught to read news, but life taught me, and, you know, my teachers taught me, hey, if you're going to talk about this or that, do your homework first. And then, you know, Mike and Art knows, like when you read a story, you know, sometimes it takes you down a rabbit trail of stuff. Like I get in trouble for it sometimes. Like say if we talk about Trump, right? Although I don't like Trump, I don't support Trump. But when it comes to the news, I want to be very truthful. So if you're gonna say something, let's go look at it. Let's go see if it's true or not, right? So, you know, when I go and dig, I find out most of the stuff that people say is not true. People just amplify, you know, whatever they hear other people say. But it's taught me to really do my homework. It's taught me that it's not about me. It's taught me to pull people up. And more than anything, we can learn something from everybody. I don't care who that person is. You can learn something from everybody. The worst thing you can do is think that you know everything that you don't. And that's what it's taught me. Oh, by the way, my name is Rick Party. I didn't say my name. Rick Party, President CEO of Rick Party Media. You don't see it here. And I say that first and foremost because I'm a voiceover guy. I do voiceover for ESPN SportsCenter. But, you know, beyond that, you know, I produce commercials as well. I produce video content, you know, all of that. And I'm a syndicated radio host. And that's who I am, and that's what I do. And I'm a dad. Hey.
Yeah. All right. How about you, Art?
Art Terrell, Atlanta native. Been in the business for years. And, man, it's taught me a tremendous amount. But first and foremost, you know, as Mike stated, as Rick stated, it's really about the listener and, you know, what you can do for the listener. And you have to always remember to put the listener first. And if you put the listener first, you will find yourself in a place where they will remember you. I spent some time working at B103. What I found is that usually people that work with me end up being millionaires. Spent some time at B103, 9 years of that after high school and through college. Lil Jon, worked with him in that time. We did a reggae show together. He ended up getting $50 million or something like that. Went from there to Hot 97.5 here in Atlanta. Worked in a field with Felesha Love. I know she's a multimillionaire. She's just not telling me because she would have to give me a cut of that. Along the way, Chris Bridges, Ludacris, was an intern there. He went on to make $1 million.
Just love it.
So here I am, spend a lot of time at Kiss 104.1 in Atlanta, my last radio station. And there I work with Roy Wood Jr., who is probably on his way, if not already, to becoming a millionaire. So I create millionaires is what I do. Right. But that's what you do. Right. You know, and ain't nobody cut me no check yet. But I'm waiting. Right. But you know, the business has been good to me, and you know, I've done some voiceovers through the years, hosted some events. I got into the business by DJing when I was in 8th grade. Just needed some free records. Wasn't looking to get on air, right. And went to B103. As program director there then, who assistant PD was Ray Boyd. Scotty Andrews was a PD. But then when I became, he told me, like, no, call me back when you become a senior. And we made the call, my DJ partner and I. Wow. And they made us interns. Or Ray Boyd was the program director at that time, made us interns. And I ended up being there for a while. That's kind of like how I got into business. Never really wanted to be on mic, but Mike Roberts said, hey, Art, you should think about being on the radio. And gave me a part-time shift, and, you know, the rest is history.
I love it. Art, you know what? I was laughing a little while ago when you said that you create millionaires. We never had this conversation, but I remember that era and thinking, did somebody get a memo and Art and I didn't get it? What the hell? Ludacris is our intern, and how did that work?
Yeah.
Fallout came from nowhere.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
You know, when I had, and I sent you that picture of Wendy and I had, I forgot who I was on with, Carol Ford. And so they moved Carol Ford to afternoons, and then they brought in Ken Webb. Because they said, well, who should we put on? I said, well, we just beat Ken Webb, so let's put Ken Webb on. Yeah. So we hired Ken Webb, and Wendy Williams was doing overnight. She had come over from Hot 97 or something like that. And I used to take her to the drugstore to get the Inquiry magazines and that kind of stuff. She was cutting and pasting that stuff out. Once again, bam, gone to the millionaire column. You know,
Mike make millionaires too now.
Making millionaires. Charlemagne brought Charlemagne on. Yeah. And next thing I know, bam, same thing. DL Hughley decides he's going to retire. They said, who we going to get? I said, well, you know, DL had beat Steve Harvey a couple of times in the mornings. It was like, for real? What's his number? Bam. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Yeah. You know, but you're right. It happens one after another.
Yeah,
it does. And, you know, I am a believer that the universe, you know, showers it down all at once. Next time I'm going to be paying attention. I'm just saying.
I won't be under the umbrella either. Standing out there umbrella-less.
I know that's right. Tell me really quickly, guys, what radio personalities do you really respect in the industry, both male and female?
I'll go ahead and get started. And Rick mentioned earlier, Tom Joyner was a profound influence on me and what I did. But, you know, right here in the city of Atlanta, it was definitely Mike Roberts, who is now an owner. And I know you work with Mike Roberts, Felesha. I mean, like, and you know, I've always worked around Rick and watched him move from place to place and reinvent himself time and time again, you know. So yeah, people like that, you know, but most definitely Tom, though. The way he was able to connect with his audience and keep that audience for as long as he did and be successful at what he did, not only in business, in the business of radio and in life, and change people's lives with what he did. That was, one of the people that really, really, helped me keep my focus when it came to doing radio.
So we talking about
working for.
Go ahead, man.
Go ahead, Rick. You go.
Are we talking about from the past or present, or?
Well, it doesn't matter. Anyone that comes to your mind. And it's not to put you on the spot. It's really for me in doing research to make sure that we're not missing people. And when names come up, we add them to the list. And I work with Bernie Hayes as well with the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. I just pass that information on to him.
Hi, I am Bernie Hayes, President of the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. I'm honored to be a part of a 90-year legacy of Black men and women in radio. I salute the contributions of 4 generations of Black radio personalities who have shaped the culture of family, music, entertainment, and politics.
Growing up in Chicago, of course, I had the pleasure of listening to, Doug Banks and Tom Joyner, and actually working with them before they went syndicated. There were so many people there. Frankie Crocker had a stop in Chicago.
I was just hearing.
Yeah, Frankie Crocker. I mean, he was just, Frankie was the guy that, to me, he didn't have to have a lot of people with him in the room. He didn't have to have phone callers. All he had was this thing right here, and his voice. And that's one thing that I have to say that I admire about Art. Art is just smooth on the radio, man. Once Art gets in front of that microphone,
he is smooth.
It's baby making time, baby. So,
he is smooth.
when you get on this thing and that magic comes out, and you can command someone's attention, that's magic. And Frankie did that. And other than the Doug Banks and the Tom Joyners. Of course, Michael Baisden, the way Michael Baisden came from not even a radio personality. He understood. Michael did his research first.
What's up, family? This is Michael Baisden. Welcome to the Michael Baisden channel.
I ain't gonna lie, man. I was hating on Michael. I'm like,
that.
I did.
Everybody did.
And
Everybody did.
And Mike over there cashing checks at the same time.
And Mike,
y'all go ahead and hate. Go ahead and hate. We know what we're doing over here.
I had to pause for a second. I'm like, slow down. The brother must be doing something right. Now, how about this? Just because you've been in radio all these years, you worked at all these radio stations, he ain't worked nowhere. You can learn something from everybody. Yeah. Learn what that brother's doing. So I would listen to even a Michael Baisden, who had not been in radio as long as we have. You can learn something from everyone. And Michael Baisden, Art, there were some of the top 40 jocks I used to listen to as well. In Chicago, I would listen to Bubba the Love Sponge before Bubba was syndicated. Howard Stern, Alan Cable, Broadway Bill Lee in New York City. I mean, the list goes on and on. Yes. And because for me, I believe in what's going to make us different? What's going to make you different? You have 3 guys on an urban radio station. What's going to make you different? Right. So I said I could take a little bit of this from an Alan Cable. I take a little bit of this from a Frankie Crocker. I take a little bit, of this from a Tom Joyner, put it in a bag, shake it up together, and you got me. I'm a mutt. And I got to give my credit to this one person, Earl Boston. If it were not for Earl Boston, I would not be on this microphone today, because Earl Boston took the phone call of this 15-year-old kid calling the radio station every day, making dedications to his girlfriend. That was me when he was on WBMX. And that man taking the time to answer my phone calls and say to me, why are you calling me every day and you're 15, you should be at school? And I go, I'm sick. I said, well, you've been sick. What's going on? Tell the truth. I said, I got kicked out of school. He gave me his whole life story. He told me he became a car mechanic. He crushed his finger, so he couldn't work on cars anymore. He had to start spinning records. So Earl taking the time to talk to me, that inspired me to get into the business. And that's why I say, you know, Earl not only had talent, but he had humility, and he had that one thing that most people don't do, and they reach back for people. They pull people up. So all of these guys, you put them in a bag, and that's who I am. A mutt.
I love that.
You're good. You're good.
I love that. I love that story.
Donnie Simpson. Rick took my answer. I don't even have anything to say because he said everything I was getting ready to say, and I applaud it. Definitely. Donnie Simpson is the only other person we got to put in there, because when you start talking about raw talent, you know, and I say this respectfully, so if they hear me say it, they can say, well, Mike Love said it. I mean, Donnie does nothing. Tom Joyner did nothing. Frankie Crocker did nothing. I mean, we in there, we trying to be cool, and you're spinning the records and you're talking and you're trying to rhyme all your. These guys just walked in and just kind of commanded the mic like it wasn't even there. I mean, think about it. Go back to Tom Joyner. It's 16 past the hour. It's the Tom Joyner Morning Show. He would throw the ball. I mean, that's all he did. I mean, he didn't do comedy. He didn't do no bits. All he did was bring in the, it's the Tom Joyner Morning Show. Bam, and he'd hit you with that time. Right. 28 minutes past the hour. Boom, throw that ball. I mean, and the rest is history. Right. At the height of his career, the man was making $14 million a year, okay? Right. Donnie will sit right there all day, green eyes, and just sitting there talking about Pam, his wife, and his golf game, and who he played with, and what he did, and blah, blah, blah. And people are just sucking it up. I mean, just sucking up. Frankie Crocker sits there. Hey, I was at this club last night, and I heard this record. And he puts the record on, and then, bam, it goes to #1 across the country.
There it is. That's what it is.
Everything that Michael Baisden did was everything we couldn't do. I tell Mike this all the time. I said, Mike, if we had mentioned sex on the air, that phone would have been jumping off the counter, because they had a hotline. Yeah. You couldn't talk about sex on the air. You couldn't take the time to talk about a relationship with a woman. You came in, 98.7 Kiss FM, Mike Love, blah, 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 with another 10 songs in a row and your favorite coming up on 98.7 Kiss FM. Out.
Read that liner.
Read that liner.
That's what it was. Read that liner.
Read that liner. We giving away that's it. You giving away some money, whatever you're doing, you're out of there. You ain't even got time to talk about it. So all those folks that we just mentioned, we should pay homage to. And Doug Banks, man.
Now we're finally getting back.
Everybody's under the tent.
We're going to be back with Mark here, a little R&B on site. All right, so that's what it's all about today.
Doug was the craziest, laid back. Doug would show other DJs he didn't give a damn. That was the great thing about Doug. It was like, hey, man, why are you sweating that? Hey, man. He didn't do that, And he just go on and do it like, hey, hey, man, like, come on. Yeah. And we sitting here, I'm sweating, trying to figure out, let me get some water real quick. We getting ready to go, doing everything with your voice. Doug will walk up to a microphone and slap it.
That's it.
And then awesome break. Just kill a break. I mean, just knock the break dead. And you're like,
what just happened?
That's the magic.
Yeah. He just pull out a gun and shoot the break. Pow!
Break you dead.
And the beautiful thing I liked about Doug too, he had all of that. He could command that microphone, say a few words, and Doug wasn't afraid to talk about the issues that matter. Doug was not also afraid to let you in on his life. I remember when working in Chicago, I would come on. Was I coming on after Doug? Yeah, I think it was Doug's either syndicated show or I think he did. I can't remember. But I remember driving down Lakeshore Drive, and Doug told Chicago that either his mother died or he was diagnosed with diabetes. And in my mind, right, I was on my way to GCI. In my mind, the whole city slowed down. You saw brake lights. Mm-hmm. And you knew that they were listening to Doug Banks.
Yeah.
because because Doug would be, he's this happy, lucky little guy. 107.5 WGCI, it's Doug Banks. All right, I got to talk about something. And this is
like him.
Doug Banks.
Yeah, he go, this. And he talked about his life issues, and you just go, wow. And a lot of these guys too, and what Mike said was so true. I mean, a lot of them didn't say anything at all, but when they said something, it was very, very powerful. And that's where, that other thing really made sense. Like, if you have nothing to say nothing at all.
Say nothing at all.
Right.
Let the music speak for you. The music has a powerful message itself. And, I can definitely say out of each of those guys, I learned something. Tom Joyner, you can't find a real soundbite on Tom Joyner. You can't find, but whatever. Right. You can't. Even when he was on the air. I mean, it's like, but the fact that he was Tom Joyner, some people have the gift of just being who they are because they're the first. And you can't take that away from a Tom. You can take it away from a Dunny, or all these people we just mentioned. You can't take it away from them because they were the first.
Yeah, they were.
Let me just add one more name in, because he's actually supposed to be on with us. And that's Mitch Faulkner.
Oh, absolutely.
And the reason why I have to add Mitch in, because, like Rick said, you're around these great personalities, and you're kind of like a radio mutt. You steal different things from different people.
Right.
And, sometimes you end up sounding like one or two of them for a little while. Yeah. But the reason why I need to pay Mitch Faulkner homage is because that's a lot of voice guys out here getting a lot of money because of what he did in Atlanta. I know. You know what I'm saying? So I just got to give it up to him, man. It was something people weren't doing. Yeah. He came in and made it a business. They tore that thing up and went worldwide with it.
On Mike Productions.
Sure did. No, you're right. Yeah. That's what he did. He came in and he made it a business. You sitting up in church and you hearing him doing your church's announcement.
Yeah. Is that Mitch?
You know Mitch Faulkner?
Yeah. In Jamaica.
But even bigger than that, Mitch was a bad radio personality.
He was. He was.
He was. Boy on that radio, man.
Yeah.
It's Cameo and Attack Me With Your Love. You're inside the throwback party on KISS 104.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely.
But you would hear his voice, and it was like, it was a signature. It was like somebody just came in and wrote a check. You go, what's that? Did I just hear Mitch Faulkner?
Definitely.
You'd hear McDonald. You'd hear, I think it was McDonald's or one of the churches. It was one of them. And all of a sudden you heard his voice and you went, scared. Damn, that was Mitch Faulkner. Now, nobody else knew. I mean,
that is so true.
You're not a radio person. You didn't know.
Right.
Yeah, but it just caught you. It just caught you off guard. Yeah. Like Art said, and these guys had the ability, like Rick said, they could just get on the mic. They didn't say anything, but when they said something, the world would just kind of like slow down. Yeah. Let me listen to what he's saying. I mean, and it was crazy. And I mean, nobody knew that when Doug came to Chicago behind the guy that was doing it, that it would ever be phenomenal like that it would be as big. I mean, Doug ended up having a restaurant and all kind of stuff was going on in his life, and he didn't even give a damn. I mean, he was getting an award, which he was very down. Which was it? Impact. One of them, he was getting an award, and he had been named. It was the Doug Banks Award for about 5 or 6 years. He told him to stop giving it away in his name. Give somebody else a chance. Wow. I mean, that's a humbling feeling to really have that. Anybody else, hey, you got my award. You got to brag. But he was like, let somebody else do it. The guy never cared about the spotlight at all.
He sure did.
Never cared about it.
And he made time for people. That was the thing. Doug made time for people. Like, if you thought you were special, guess what? That other person thought they were special too, because Doug made time for you.
Yeah, he made time for me, in fact. It was a few minutes, but I really appreciated it. Coming, into Chicago, wanting to get in the market from St. Louis, and I just called GCI, and he was just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. That's my memorable experience with him, being very likable and humble in just that short time. What about women? Are there any women that strike you as very talented or a standout in radio?
You know, one of the things, and I apologize for interrupting, you know, she doesn't get a lot of credit, and she was very, very good and very popular. And I didn't appreciate her when she was my co-host, and that was Carol Ford. Carol Ford in New York was a beast.
Yes.
She was a beast.
Yes.
And I mean, she dotted every I, crossed every T. You talking about somebody prepping a show, and she didn't play, and you couldn't just come in the studio and hang out when she was on the air. You know, a lot of times you go, what? That's how most of us got in radio. That's what you did. You went to the radio station and you hung out, okay? And then whatever else you did, we're not gonna talk about on this Zoom call, you did, but it started going to the radio station. Carol Ford would jump on you, man, beat you up. I mean, the whole 9 yards. She was a consummate professional to the point that you just looked at her and you said, wow, she is really, really good. And she, to me, I mean, I'm gonna let these other guys talk, but I worked with her and didn't appreciate it. And I just want to clear the air on that. Carol Ford really was my hero. She just got on my damn nerves. Carol, you got on my nerves. Besides that, she was hard. She was a hero.
How about you guys? Any Black women in radio that stand out to you?
Back in the day. I see, I'm not going to get myself in trouble by mentioning any current names, okay? So I'm going to stick with back in the day.
It's all good.
I would definitely have to say Wendy Williams. There was a Bo Griffin that worked at Power 96. Rhythmic station back in the day. Yes. Oh, my God. Bo Griffin, God rest her soul. And she also worked in Greenville. Look at that. You see, Mike? Bo Griffin. Yeah.
Frankie Darcell at JLB.
Back in the day. Yeah, Frankie was old. AJ Parker, when Doug first came out with a syndicated show. AJ, let me tell you about AJ really quick. When I worked at GCI, AJ worked part-time. AJ was so good. Her one show or two shows on the weekend was better than my show every day on the radio. That's just how good she was. Because, you know, when you sit at home, you're listening to the radio, right? And you just can't wait until you get that microphone. And when she got in the microphone, it was showtime. AJ Parker, Irene Mojica in Chicago. LaDonna Tittle, she's an actress right now. And Tripp does news. Is she still at BLS?
Oh, my God, come on.
And Tripp with news.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah.
I mean, I could go Jill Tracy in Miami. I mean, there's so many women that are so incredible. And I got to say this, I'm not saying this because you're here. Women are just incredibly smart.
Yes,
women are just
intelligent. Yeah, we are.
Women are just, I mean,
underestimated.
The powers that you all have. Any man that thinks he can't learn from a woman, something is wrong with you. And I'm sorry that I didn't even mention, because I have to put AJ Parker in that name that you in that list we said earlier. Mm-hmm. If I had to take two, I would put AJ Parker and I put Bo Griffin. Those two women in this list of men.
Oh, no doubt.
That definitely shaped me, because I listened to them. I thought they were incredible.
And this conversation is so important to me, because we don't even have, I don't have those two women. I do have AJ Parker on, but so this helps me do some research. So I appreciate it.
But hold on a second, because Rick just opened up a can. He just opened up a can of whoop ass today, because he qualified himself and said he wasn't going to talk about anybody today. But you know, when you have a co-host, Rick has had co-hosts, Art's had co-hosts, I've had co-hosts. Okay, I went through 3 co-hosts at KISS and 2 co-hosts at BLS. Okay, that's 5 people I went through. Mm-hmm. AJ Parker, like he said, was a beast. She made Doug Banks. Let me say what Rick is saying, and I want to take it to another level without stepping on this.
Bring it, brother. I feel it.
She created that co-host thing that made Doug who he was, because we really weren't used to hearing the female co-host who complimented you. You see what I'm saying? And then guess who came behind her?
Wake that ass up.
Get up and get turned up with Didi in the morning.
We get wild.
This man in our studio right now, first of all, he's on the #1 radio show in New York.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
We've seen him all over TV on, let's see, MTV.
Didi McGuire, we cannot figure. Didi just came in after that, and then the rest was history. They were coming left and right, but you got to give Didi McGuire her just doing that, because after AJ had kicked the door down, that could have ruined Doug. And Didi McGuire coming right past that, man, the rest is history. That's why she's on top of the world. Go ahead.
I got to put Didi in there. Although she's current, see, Didi, she goes back though. And I got to say this, I work with the female. And when I first started working with her, she was different to me, right? She's different than any of these women on the list, and you know, Art, because you work with her.
Look, you still in my name. That's what I was about to say.
Different. Sasha has something that Sasha would ask those questions that we were afraid to ask, and she would ask those questions that we not even think about asking. But the interviewee responds in a way like, really? Like, she has this superpower to, I don't know if it's her extrasensory perception to connect with people on questions that we know nothing about.
Right.
And not only that, in the age we live in today, and this is why I gotta big up her, because when it comes to digital platforms, she knows how to command the camera. I don't know if Sasha got to wear some eyelashes. That's
touch the camera.
Whatever Sasha's wearing, whatever her neck rolling and all of that, she's gonna make you look. And then today, like I said earlier, it's all about the eyes. It's all about the views. Whatever people say about you, they are looking at you.
Yeah.
She is the diva. She's the diva.
It's Rick and Sasha with George Wilborn. The special guests never stop in the studio right now.
Oh, my God. She was crowned Miss USA in 2019. Baby girl, other than just being crowned, she is a full-time attorney. Go on, girl.
Sasha is definitely phenomenal. I had the pleasure of working with Sasha many years. We did some shows together.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. But that's exactly who I was going to throw in the hat.
You got me in trouble if you had said Sasha and I didn't say it first. Bruh.
And then I would have to hear it.
She's
a master hustler. She is a superstar media personality. And, I just won't say radio because she can take a TV and wrap her arms around the television and hug you through the television.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
She's amazing. But I would also say, and because she had a lot to do with who I became, Carol Blackman is very, very, very important to me. Now working with Chubb Rock. Still doing, some stuff for WSB TV here with the Georgia Lottery. She's absolutely amazing. And Felesha Love, who can go into a field with you at 4:00 in the morning and drive by horses and do a show on a board with rotary knobs and switches?
When they used to hot pod, you turn that down when you're talking. You know what I'm saying? Coming up next here.
Oh my God!
You're talking, you gotta turn that down like that.
The lady's a monster. She is incredible. So yeah,
either that or just insane.
Oh, no doubt.
Oh man!
And one of the things I think, because a lot of people will probably see this, and there's a lot of ladies out there I know with Lori Mack, who I work with, and Lisa Lopez, and so on and so forth, and all of us can name, tons of co-hosts that we've been with.
Yeah.
And it's not to forget about anybody. It's just one of those situations that Rick said it best. These female co-hosts for guys like us, because all the pressure is put on us. When we come in and we get that job, they hire Mike Love, they hired Rick Party, they hired Art. It's on us. And then we gotta babysit, so to speak, the whole situation. Because when something's going wrong, they don't call the whole team in the studio. They call in Rick. So Rick, what was going on with that break? They call in Mike. So why did you say when she said they call in Art? Art, are you sure that someone? And that's how it goes down. Because, and I'm gonna say this respectfully, and it may get me in trouble. That female mouth is gonna get everybody fired. Okay, so I would have told them if I went in there. That's why they called you in there, Mike. Because if I'd have went in there and told them, I'd have said. But once again,
bruh, I'm telling you, I'm trying to tell you,
we have to give credit where credit's due, because that female in that studio with you is actually your jet fuel.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can figure
She's
out,
actually your jet.
If you can figure out the right chemistry, because we've all heard really, really good shows, and we've heard shows that are just slightly off. There's no chemistry in the studio, and it's amazing because it's not something you can see, but it's absolutely something you can hear from break to break. So, finding that right partner is pretty interesting. Mike, you've connected people on more than one occasion. What exactly were you looking for as a programmer to find two people that really work well together?
Well, the camaraderie is the first thing that you want, but you don't always get that. I mean, how often do you get a chance to get somebody, that you can either bring in from a smaller market, whatever, and then they were already working together. You got to put two people together, and you're trying to figure out what's the strength, her strength versus his strength. And we live in a society that gives the man the top of the order. And that's unfortunate a lot of times. How come we don't have more females in lead and that guy that's coming behind her that gives her the same thing? But that's just the society we live in. So as a program director, or even as a consultant, when we're talking about setting up these shows, you're looking, because we have to go with what it is. Okay. Mm-hmm. You're trying to put that guy in there. So the first thing that you're doing is you're saying, well, let's call it something else instead of the Rick and Sasha show. Let's give it another name. Instead of the Mike and Carol Ford, let's make it the Wake Up Club. And that was one of the things that kind of teed Carol Ford off, because Carol Ford had been there with Jeff Leonard, then BJ from Power 99. Then here comes Mike Love. Dude, by the time she got to me, she felt like this should be my show. How come this ain't my show?
Right.
But the fact of the matter is that old dated thinking says, well, you can't put, the female first in the show. I mean, that's not going to work. And you don't really want to think that. But for some reason, given equal time is not one that is respectfully given. And the three of us can all say that we've at one time or another wanted to give our co-host probably more time than we got, but we didn't get those marching orders from the company that owned the station. So you had to go in and do what you got to do. And sometimes it didn't always make for a great position to be in, but you got a family to feed. So that's what you do.
Right. And where did that whole idea come from, that because we are directing the radio station, say females 25 to 34, that they only want to hear men? Because I think that's largely where the trickle-down effect came with Black women in radio, that we didn't get the airtime. We often were only offered middays for a long time, right? Middays, or we did traffic and weather for the morning show guy. So is that just something that just came out of the ethers? I mean, where did that idea come from? Because it absolutely had an effect on radio as we know it.
All right, you tell them.
Mike?
Mike's the programmer in the
bunch. It's your turn. Okay, I think it came from some old antiquated thinking back in the day that women are less than men and women are docile and meek. And, you go way back when, when women marched back in the day, men just really didn't think that much of women. And sadly, women didn't think much of themselves. So whatever a man had to say, they believed it was law. So it was just the way it was until, some powerful women, like all these women I had on my list, until, women like this said, hey, you know what? They had to show you that they were just as powerful. And most of these women, now that I'm really thinking about this, and maybe it's just because I'm a man and I hear things differently. Most of these women, and I did not do this purposely, right? Most of these women, they had very strong voices. Either they were very strong or they were very confident in what they were saying. Like for me, what really mattered, they got right to the point and they knew what they were saying from one word to another. Like a lot of us would hear women, and women, we would hear women like this. Today's a beautiful day. It's going to be sunny outside. And, and even you got to admit, even some women were like, I don't want to hear that. I don't even speak like that. My man doesn't speak like that. My sons don't speak like. I don't want to hear that.
I speak like
Right.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it just came from some old thinking. And then to me, I think women cracked the code, whatever that code was. And once they cracked it, they broke the damn door down.
Yeah.
They broke it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dee Dee is doing it definitely with Dee Dee in the Morning, her morning show.
Absolutely.
And she is setting the standard now for what to expect from women. I love the idea. She had a philosophy that she's not the number one female morning show host. She's the king. I love that.
Yeah, I love it.
There's no sex. And I think, to your point, Rick, when it comes to the way women think about themselves, I hate to admit it, but you're kind of right. Because if we still think of ourselves as, the first female or, like that, we're not giving ourselves enough leverage to be greater. We're always setting the bar according to the way society has told us it's supposed to be. Speaking of which, I want to go into Black family now. Would you guys say that the media has it all wrong when it comes to the way the Black family is portrayed? Yes or no?
I would say yes. I don't think this happens, as much on urban stations as it does across the board in general. But if you look at TV, sometimes you'll think that there aren't many Black dads out there. You will think that there aren't many loving couples, or you will think that there aren't many co-parenting situations that work. Yeah. But I try to take it upon myself to make sure we highlight those kind of things in our community. Whether it's a couple in love and they're sitting in front of you at an event, point it out. If you can have a kid jump on and tell a story about something they're doing in the community, bring the parents in. It's those type of things, or talk about the time that you saw, a dad doing his daughter's hair online, I think that, we've all done a pretty good job at trying to highlight those stories and bring them to the masses, because we know you can't really get it anyplace else.
Absolutely.
You really don't. Yeah.
I agree. I echo everything Art said. It's important that people definitely see those images. Married couples, if they are that we do love each other, they need to see fathers with their children. I, for one of the reasons why I was actually rehired in radio again in Miami after being off for 9 years is that my then program director, Phil Michaels, who was my promotions assistant when I worked at Hot 105 back in the 90s, he remembered that I was always a father. Right. You didn't know that, did you? He was he remembered that I was always a father first. But during my time off radio, I would always post photos of me and my daughter. I'm a father of 7. My children are all adults now. The oldest is 32. The next adult after that will be 25. So in between those, I never thought I'd have another kid again. And my daughter Zion is now 11. So she came like 14 years after, that. But that changed my life, because in radio, for me, and I can't speak for anyone else, And I have to say this because one of my co-hosts, George Wilborn, says, I've never cheated in my life. You know, I've never done. I was like, George, you ain't never cheated. Come on, ever in your life? He's like, no, I haven't. So, you know, sometimes you think when you do things, everyone does the same thing that you're doing, right? But for me, knowing that I had the power of the microphone and I could do almost anything that I wanted to, and in my mind that, you know, when you're young and you're on the microphone, everybody loves you until you're the fish that steps out of the bowl and realizes that, you know, we're all the same. I look back at my life and I think of all the things that I've done wrong in relationships. And when my daughter was born, my Facebook page was just about me and Zion. And it's about us going to the park, me teaching her Spanish, me showing her how to write her name, all before she's like 2 years old. I mean, all of these things that I didn't think that kids knew how to do. And people watched this like it was like just a television series. And Phil, for one, he loved that. And he wanted me to bring that to the radio. And I did, where I would, you know, I talked to her sometimes, I'd have conversations with her, but I always ended my show with her, you know, saying, thanks for listening to my dad, yada, yada, yada. And people absolutely love that. In fact, I know we got a minute left on this. People absolutely love that. People always see me out and they say, hey, you're on the radio. Your daughter is Zion, right? I'm like, she only speaks for 40 seconds. You don't know my name, but you know her name. That connected.
I used to get the same thing.
That connected with people. And people needed to see more than that because we do exist.